Hey guys, Jalen from TeamBurningInfinitey bringing you guys on a Buddyfight deck profile, and this time we got my water deck. It's a really underrated and probably overlooked deck, somewhat even obscure because people just forget like, oh yeah, Katana World had an attribute that kind of just tied itself to monsters like from each archetype that didn't really do anything together, but now they can do something together. Yay! Somewhat. But just in general, I just really like this deck, and it really allows for some plays, like some plays that I really like for like my play style. So anyway, let me get on to the deck. This is of course my buddy, the new Nanase Celestial Deity of Misty Dew Water Nanase. He's a 2 gauge, 2 water from drop into his soul, double attack Soul Guard, 6/6, and when it's destroyed, I can destroy a monster in my opponent's field. They lose a gauge, and I gain a gauge. So this is just really powerful. If you can destroy it on your turn, you can just start popping their field, making them lose gauge, and in my case, I can get draws out of it and life. So it's just, and this already gives you a gauge, so it just becomes like an insanely great just pool of advantage, and I just love it. And there's so much accessibility. But let me just get on to the rest of the deck so you can understand that better. We have first off with my size zeros, we have 3 copies of First Omni Beast Messenger Goichigoma 2/1/2 size 0. If a size 2 or greater Katana World monster would be called from your hand, its call cost would be boosted by 1 gauge. That's a long way of saying Nanase is 1 gauge. Miseria and Dark Miseria 1 gauge, and original Nanase is free, and full cannon is 1 gauge. Anyway, the Skull Warrior it's decent. It's got pretty standard size 0 stats, and just in general, I can get it back from drop if need be, with revival spells like Skull Festival. But on to the last of my size zeros, and probably one of the most important cards in the deck outside of Nanase, of course. We have Premature Passing Ribi Kawazu. 2/1/1 size 0. When this card is called from your hand, put up to 2 Skull Warrior or water monsters from your drop zone, from your deck into the drop zone. Sorry. And when this card is attacking alone, it cannot be nullified. So it's just really good with Yamagitsune, and it's just an instant setup for Nanase if it's already in your hand or you have a way to search it, like of course your water search spell, but that'll be near the end. Then onto the size ones, we have 3 copies of Merchant of Darkness Jin. He's a Skull Warrior adventurous 3/1/2 size 1. I really don't like him that much, but he does provide a good function in the deck, and that's being a way to call Nanase back from drop with his ability Higher Bodyguard. You choose a size 1 or less, a size 2 or less, sorry, size 2 or less from your drop zone, and pay a gauge on life and call it to the field by paying its call cost. So it'll be 3 gauges on life to get a Nanase back, but hey, it's a Nanase, I'm gonna do it. Then we have 3 copies of Yamagitsune Hidden in Garments, 5/2/1 size 1, 1 gauge, 1 life call cost, and when this card, when a monster on your or item deals damage on your field, deals damage to your opponent, you destroy the card and you gain a life and draw. This of course can be abused heavily with Nanase and even Dark Miseria a little bit. It's just so good because you can just and you can kill himself. Just getting your life back and drawing cards just is just really helpful with the deck's draw power. And just in general, I send it all the time to the drop with Premature Passing, so it can just always be coming back for like 1 life. So it will just pay for itself if my opponent lets it even hit once. Then we have 4 copies of Uniform Professional Assassin Frill. She's not a water or a Skull Warrior, so she's weird for my engine, but she provides a very helpful skill. She's a 5/1/1. She has move, never relevant because I don't play items or a triple formation type of thing. When she attacks, you can choose a monster in your field, and then you look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one into put one among 2 cards into the soul that monster face down. The other one goes to drop. It's just really good because it just gives Nanase more soul. It gives Dark Miseria more soul. and it's just easily I can easily get back from drop of water ploy, or if I'm really desperate, Jin. Then on the sides twos we have, of course, my SP third Omni Waterlord Mazaria. Of course, he's a water, so I can search him, get him back from drop, and other things like that. And works with the support. He has a call cost to pay 2 gauge and put up to 2 spells from your drop zone into its soul. Double attack, soul guard, lifelink 2. It's just basically a backup non-save I can't get into. I mean, it's really crazy if I don't get a non-save. It's only happened to me like once or twice, but regardless, it's just there. And then we have inverse third Omni Warlord, Dark Mazaria. He's a 2 gauge and put up to 1 spell from your drop zone into his soul. It's your soul guard move, and when he's destroyed, you gain a life. So it's kind of like the inconsistent Nanase, where, well, Nanase does a lot more, but just Nanase gives you gauge, and this gives you life when it's destroyed. So it's pretty good. You can give him more soul with like Assassin Trail, like I said, and just in general, both of these are 625, so they're pretty decent. Then we have 2 original Nanase. I don't really like it that much because of just his ability being, of course, like a bad version of the newer one now, but just in general, it still has merit. It's 525, 1 gauge, put up 2 water from your drop zone into its soul. He has an act to send a soul from him and to the drop zone, and your opponent loses a gauge, so you can use it twice since he has 2 soul and he has soul guard. So if you want to keep the soul, you can, to be a little defensive, but better. The way I use it is just I call him probably for free with Goichigoma, and then just get rid of all their gauge, then call it the new Nanase on top, because I'm just like, yeah, you already did your job, you're getting rid of gauge. Then, or I can have full cannon, kind of just pop him if he's on field too. Then we have 4 copies of the Buddy. Just not gonna go into more explanation there. I already kind of went over him. And then we have 4 copies of Heavenly Vengeance full equip cannon. 725 size 3, top deck soul 2 gauge, and he has the ability, if he's on the left or right, the Skull Warrior or Water in my center has its size reduced by 2, so it becomes a size 0, and it has a counteract to destroy a Water or Skull Warrior other than itself, and I get a gauge and a life. It's counteract, so it's just it has penetrate and soul guard, so its counteract is just, of course, amazing with Nanase. I get basically 2 gauge in a life, and I do Nanase the ability, so I'm popping stuff and getting rid of their gauge. So I just love it. And just in general, the penetrate, so it just really helps if you're facing like anything, like also like trying to throw stuff in the center. It's like, yeah, no, don't do that. Then on to the spells, we have 2 copies of my Drop Zone Revival, Odd Ritual, Skull Festival. It's a free set, and it has an active pay 1 life. You can call a size 2 or less Skull Warrior from your drop zone without paying its call cost. So it basically turns Yamagitsune into just 1 life instead of a gauge and a life. And it lets me call back my other Skull Warriors, and I don't really care about paying life because I'm either gaining it back with this, Yamagitsune, with full equip, Yamagitsune, or Buddy Gift, so I'm just like, okay, I'm fine. And then even if I'm paying life, most of the time my opponent's not hitting through my center, so I'm like, I'm not taking any damage. So, yeah. Then we have 3 copies of an interesting tech I like. Sword Skill, Bare Hand Intercept. I was running Art of Body Replacement for a while, and I only ran it because with Snake Gaze and Shadow Stitching, which are the main forms of defense in this deck, other than my other counter abilities and stuff, is just that they can only stop monsters. So I'm like, what do I do when I'm facing TE, like Thunder Empire, and like other offensive decks like dual golems and things that rely on items that can attack me. You only cast this card if your opponent's weapon is attacking your monster, and you nullify attack and draw a card. The reason I like this a little more than Art of Body Placement is because it gives me a draw, so it actually helps me with my hand still, like without really costing. And like I said, Snake Gaze and Shadow Stitching already handle monsters for me, so I just need something to stop weapons. Then we have 4 copies, of course, Ninja Art, Snake Gaze, cast off pay 1 life, and counter null rest a monster. It's just, stop all those double attackers, penetrates, and all that, this format. And of course, my favorite card in the entire world, Art of Shadow Stitching. You only cast this card during an attack on your by your opponent's monster. Cast cost to pay 1 gauge, nullify the attack, and choose an attacking monster. And for the turn, it can no longer stand. So just absolutely great against Purgatory Knights, Chaos, just good against so many things, obviously. And then we have 4 copies of Waterploy, Kyoku Suinonen. I'm usually better with pronunciation. You may only cast this when a monster in your field is destroyed. You can either put a water or a size 1 or less monster from your drop zone into your hand. So literally any of my water monsters, when any one of my monsters, they're destroyed, even if it's like during my turn when I use like Yamagitsune or Full Cannon skill, I can just, oh, let me just grab one back, like, and it just gets any of my size 1 or less as well. So they don't even have to be water, so I can get all my Skull Warriors or Assassin Frill back. So it's just really, really good. It gets my entire monster line back if like something dies. So that's just really, really good. And then the main consistency card, just of course, like one of the greatest things about this deck is Demon Wave Fresh Blood Nectar. It has a cast cost of 1 gauge, and the simplest skill is just add a water monster from your deck to your hand, and you can only cast 1 of these per turn. It's just absolutely to search out Nanase. I mean, I've searched Full Cannon with this a couple of times, but I just search Nanase because the thing I'll do is charge a water in my hand that I don't really care about, and then pay this 1 gauge, and then search Nanase, and then this is a water itself, so then whatever I paid, which was a water, and then this is already Nanase's condition, so I can just pay the 2 gauge, bring them out. And anyways, that's it. I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to TeamBurningInfinitey for more Buddyfight content, and I'll see you guys later. John from TBIinfinitey going out.